What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. This story's called, I'm 4 years old. What's your excuse? Okay, first time poster on mobile, English not my first language. If you decide to roast me, please use spices. Cinnamon, allspice, ginger, whatever you like. Okay. I mentioned part of this story in a comment, and people asked for the full story, so here it is. Little background. Since I became an adult and stopped working retail, I get an I don't work here lady almost every month. My wife says it's something on my face. This is the first time one of my kids was present. Also, for the place that happened, in my country, we have small shops that sell fresh products, mainly vegetable. On to the story. This happened in August. We live in a coastal city, walking distance from the beach. Wow. We both had 2 weeks off from work and spend every day at the beach with the kids. We usually go early in the morning and stay until noon, and then maybe go back in the evening. That day, my wife had left early with our oldest to prep lunch, and I stayed behind with our 4-year-old daughter. As we were preparing to leave, my wife called to tell me to pick up some fresh vegetables we had run out on. The grocery store was on our way home, so it was okay. So we stop at the store, I exchange pleasantries with the owner, an old classmate of mine, and stay outside looking for what we need, while my daughter entered the store to talk with the owner's son, same age, same preschool. The owner has 2 customers inside the store. Next to me is a lovely old lady that asks if I can help put some of her groceries in her car, especially 2 5-kilogram bags of potatoes. I see no reason not to, and I put them in the car. She thanks me, half in my language, half in Russian. I replied in kind. I understand some of the language because some relatives of my grandma were from there and picked up some of the language when I was growing up. She smiles and waves goodbye, and I return to my browsing. And then the Karen emerges.
I want 3 kilograms of onions, 4 kilograms of potatoes, and 3 kilograms of tomatoes. And be fast about it, I'm in a hurry.
I turned around to see a middle-aged woman in a sundress, sunglasses, big hat, stereotypical Karen haircut, with her arms crossed in front of her and tapping her foot. Because the store is self-service and I'm wearing swim trunks, an old t-shirt, flip-flops, I'm having my beach towel draped over my shoulder and carrying a ridiculously huge beach bag. I give her no mind and return to my shopping. Big mistake. Karen decides to break social distancing and grabs me by the shoulder.
I gave you an order, boy.
I'm 40 years old, by the way.
Now do it or I'll get you fired.
I don't work here, I reply and take a step backwards.
Don't give me that broccoli salad. I saw you helping that other woman.
She kindly asked for my help to move the bags. I still don't work here.
So you only help your compatriots, you little suit? What a disgrace!
And goes on a very racist rant, cursing every other word. At some point, we had gathered spectators. The owner had come out, along with the kids, and my daughter decides to come to my rescue. My daughter doesn't like people fighting and finds creative ways to break them up.
Why are you screaming at my father? He already told you he doesn't work here.
My daughter chips in when Karen stopped for a breath.
Because he doesn't know his place. Now go away.
Karen replies and starts to continue her rant. The owner is about to step in when my daughter turns around, drops her bikini bottom, moons her, and blows a raspberry. The Karen is momentarily stunned.
That's rude,
she manages to say.
Well, I'm 4. What's your excuse?
My daughter replies, fixing her bottoms. At that point, everybody, except Karen, starts laughing. Karen is doing her best imitation of a fish, her mouth opening and closing with no sound coming out. At that point, the owner steps in and tells her to leave and that her business is not welcomed there. The rest of us have a good laugh, we pick our groceries and go home. For the rest of our vacation, my daughter would accompany me to the store and she was always scanning the customers with a hand clasped on the side of her bikini bottoms. That was a funny story. This story's called, Sorry lady, but please leave our school. Obligatory on typing on my phone, warning until here at the bottom. Okay, so I do work at the actual location that this story takes place. However, not at the area in question. You'll see in a minute. So I work at a university as an admissions recruiter, and last summer, I was walking through the building after my lunch and saw a woman wandering through the empty first floor. store. As soon as she saw me, she beamed over to me as fast as she could.
Excuse me? Where is the Chick-fil-A?
So we have an express Chick-fil-A that is entirely student-run in one of our secondary dining halls. And while it is closed between the months of May and July, it still shows up as a location on all internet map sites for reasons we will never know. I think you know where this is going. This was last year, so the dialogue was close to this. Oh, it's down the hall that way leading into the other building. But I'm sorry, it's closed for the summer.
Closed? But the app says open.
Oh, we don't have any control over what's online, but I can tell you it's closed like all other dining sites on campus.
Why are you telling people on Google that it is open and we come all the way down here?
I'm sorry, I don't work in campus dining or Chick-fil-A, so I can't say why they mark it open. But there is a full restaurant like 5 minutes up that way.
But I wanted to eat here. Why are you advertising somewhere that isn't open and luring us out of here? You should be ashamed of what you're doing.
Again, we didn't advertise.
Let me speak to your supervisor. I need to talk to him about your store.
Store? I'm an associate admissions director. I don't have a supervisor other than the director herself. And this is definitely not something she cares to hear about, but I knew this lady had a story in her head and wasn't going away easily, so I had an idea. Sorry, ma'am, but I have a presentation starting soon, but I hope you find an answer to your question. I began walking back towards the office I actually answered legitimate questions at, and sure enough, this lady followed me like an angry gremlin. As I walked, I quickly texted our secretary a short brief of what was happening, and then put some distance between me and Gremlin Woman as we entered the office.
Hi, ma'am. How can I help you today?
Well, I'd like to complain about the terrible business practice by your restaurant, and your employee here has no skills related to the customer service industry.
I'm sorry. What restaurant?
Gremlin Lady proceeds to go on a tangent about us and Chick-fil-A and restaurant management, etc., and our secretary, who has 30 years of working in higher education, has the most disappointed in humanity look on her face I've ever seen.
Ma'am, we are a university admissions office, and if you don't have any questions regarding that, you have to take your concerns to someone else.
No, I want to do this here!
She slammed her fist onto the desk on here. I'm not gonna do that. My stuff's made of frickin' foam board. Secretary standing up and picking up the phone.
I'm gonna have to call our campus police, who are located across the walkway here. I'd advise if you don't want to be escorted out and possibly arrested, you should please leave our school now.
At this, the gremlin's eyes widened a bit as she processed her next move. Then she huffed and stormed out of our office. I'm not sure what happened to her exactly, but her story made for a hilarious story on our Friday meeting, and I bought our secretary a week's worth of coffee. That was sweet. And also, can't really blame Gremlin Lady there too much. Chick-fil-A is just hits different. Alright, this story's called Just Because You Paid Me Doesn't Mean I Work For You. First time posting and on mobile, so apologies for formatting errors, a bit of necessary background. This happened in 2003. I work in the insurance industry in a not very well-known profession having to do with audits. I got my start working for a small company created by my uncle, and I was with him for about 10 years. My uncle then decided it was time for him to build his dream home and move, which meant either I had to take over the company or find a new job. I didn't want to spend half my day chasing down invoices, so I elected to start a job search, and he agreed to give me some time to find a position before he shut things down. There are two types of positions in my field where you either work for a vendor, which is an independent service provider, or directly for an insurance company. Openings at insurance companies don't come around that often, and vendors don't really have the greatest of reputations, so they're basically employers of last resort. That ends the background, and now my story. Over the course of of about 3 weeks, I applied for 2 positions at different insurance companies and was quickly notified I didn't get 1 job. The second kept saying, "We'll get back to you." Not wanting to hold my uncle up, I bit the bullet and went and applied at the largest vendor in my country. The day of my interview, I met with the on-site manager, a lovely lady who seemed to be in a bit over her head. It just so happened that her boss, the district manager, and then his boss, the regional manager, were also in the office that day and sat in on the interview. It went well. I filled out paperwork, we shook hands, and I left. Did not hear anything from them for about a week. In that week, I finally got a call back from that other insurance company, which at the time happened to be the biggest one in the world, known by 3 initials. They offer me a position, go over the details, set a start date, and I accept. The following Monday, my phone rings at about 10 a.m. I answer, and it is the lady that I had the interview with at the vendor, who I'll now refer to as Vendor Lady.
Hi, we were expecting you in this morning. Is there a problem?
Pardon?
Today was supposed to be your first day, and we thought you would be here at 9 o'clock.
Why would you think that?
That's what our records show.
With absolutely no irony whatsoever. I don't work for you, lady. I never heard from you guys after the interview period. No one called me to offer me a position or discuss salary, much less a start date.
Oh, I had no idea. I'll take care of it, and sorry about that.
Thanks, and have a good day, I guess. That's not the end of the story. The following Wednesday, which is typically payday for the job that I had, I go into my bank account and see that there is an automatic deposit from the vendor. I stare at my screen for probably a good 5 minutes trying to puzzle out what in the actual hell is going on. Then I realize I'm gonna have to call Vendor Lady. Hi, Vendor Lady. You might remember me from the mix-up where you thought I was supposed to work for you, but I don't. Why did I receive a paycheck from your company?
That doesn't sound right. Let me check.
She places me on hold for a few minutes and then comes back and says,
Well, it looks like since you filled out all the required paperwork during the interview with your application, you were accidentally placed on payroll as well. What you can do is just write us a check for the payroll amount, and that should take care of it.
Struggling to comprehend how truly stupid this whole situation is, I reply, Listen, Vendor Lady, I review payroll records for a living, so I am very aware that you can simply have your payroll department reverse the paycheck, which will basically zero out any payroll taxes that you paid as well as any that were withheld from the paycheck, as well as reclaiming the small amount placed into my bank account. So no, I will not be writing you a check and be paying you to not work for you. The week after that, I start work at the big insurance company, and ironically, within 6 months, both the district manager comes aboard as a coworker of mine, and then the regional manager comes aboard in a department related to mine. No clue what happened to Vendor Lady, but good luck to anyone working for her. Edit. Thanks for all the support, and I'll try to answer some of the most common questions. It wasn't a scam. The vendor company is still around to this day. It's still the employer of last resort, and sadly is still the biggest independent service supplier for my industry. I filled out all the paperwork required for direct deposit because I was told it was necessary to streamline the hiring process. I definitely did not supply them with a voided check. Also, they did reverse the direct deposits, and I never heard from the Vendor Lady again. But I would get periodic emails over the next few years to see if I was interested in doing some work for them. Lastly, the large insurance company that I ended up working for was indeed run by Hank Greenberg, and I left them after 2 years for a better position about a year and a half before the big crash. Well, that's a pretty cool story. Could have had some free money there. Hey, and don't come at me with the whole, hey Zach, morals and ethics. That doesn't apply when you're talking about insurance companies. These guys rob you blind. I'm just kidding. You did the right thing. Don't steal. This story's called Maskless Lady. This happened just yesterday, and my wife thinks it's appropriate for here. I was shopping at that inexpensive family clothing store named after a military branch. You know the one. Old Navy. The store is mostly empty because it's the middle of the afternoon and because of you know what. Most people aren't out and about for shopping, no reason. Anyway, I was looking for some jeans at the front of the store because they were on sale. Mind you, I was actually wearing a pair of jeans, a plaid shirt, a vest, and a mask that all could have been from the store. As I'm searching for my size, Anyways, this lady approaches with her phone to her ear and her mask in her hand. I pause what I'm doing and look over at her.
Do you know where the men's athletic shorts are?
No.
Can you ask someone?
No.
Don't you work here?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Why didn't you say so?
Because I was trying to figure out why didn't you put your phone down and put your mask on when talking with a stranger in public? The lady's face went from confused to horribly embarrassed. She immediately turned bright red, put on her mask, mumbled, "Sorry," and headed straight out the door, sans shorts. I find jeans in the right size and head to the checkout behind me. The cashier has these big smiling eyes, and I can tell she is smiling behind her mask. She tells me,
The look on that lady's face was priceless. Have a great day.
"Ha! You know what though? Honestly, I can understand that lady, the maskless lady, because I was in the airport and I was eating some Chick-fil-A, and you can't eat with a mask on, so I was eating without the mask on because what else are you gonna do? And so I was walking around, and I'm just like, man, why do I feel like an idiot right now? I just feel stupid for some reason. I'm just looking around, and then I go to scratch my mouth, and I'm like, okay, cool. I scratched my mouth, and I was like, wait a minute, how am I scratching my mouth? And then I realized I gotta put my mask on. I gotta put my mask on. It wasn't very hard though, but the Chick-fil-A was so good. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.